Learning disabilities are a diverse group of neurological disorders that affect the brain's ability to receive, process, store, and respond to information. They are not indicative of intelligence or motivation. Rather, they represent differences in how individuals perceive and interpret information. Among the most recognized learning disabilities are dyslexia and dyscalculia, but the term encompasses a broader spectrum, including dysgraphia, auditory processing disorder, nonverbal learning disabilities, and more. Understanding these conditions requires an appreciation of the intricate ways in which the human brain develops and functions, as well as the social, emotional, and educational contexts in which learning occurs. Dyslexia is perhaps the most widely known learning disability. It primarily affects reading, spelling, and writing skills. Individuals with dyslexia may have difficulty recognizing written words, decoding new words, and understanding the relationship between letters and sounds. This often results in slow, laborious reading and frequent errors in spelling. Dyslexia is not related to vision problems or intelligence. Many people with dyslexia are highly intelligent and creative. The challenges they face stem from differences in the way their brains process language. Research suggests that dyslexia has a genetic component, often running in families, and that it is associated with differences in the structure and function of certain areas of the brain involved in language processing. The manifestations of dyslexia can vary widely. Some children struggle to learn the alphabet or to connect letters with their corresponding sounds, while others have difficulty blending sounds to form words. As they progress in school, these difficulties may become more pronounced, especially as academic demands increase. Reading comprehension can also be affected, as slow or inaccurate decoding makes it harder to understand and retain what has been read. Despite these challenges, early identification and intervention can make a significant difference. Structured literacy programs that emphasize phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension strategies are particularly effective for students with dyslexia. With appropriate support, individuals with dyslexia can develop strong reading skills and achieve academic success. Dyscalculia, sometimes referred to as math dyslexia, is another specific learning disability that affects a person's ability to understand and manipulate numbers. People with dyscalculia may have trouble recognizing numbers, learning math facts, performing calculations, and understanding mathematical concepts such as time, measurement, and spatial relationships. Like dyslexia, dyscalculia is not a reflection of intelligence or effort. Rather, it is rooted in differences in brain function, particularly in areas involved in numerical processing and spatial reasoning. Children with dyscalculia may struggle to learn basic arithmetic operations, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. They may have difficulty understanding the concept of quantity, recognizing patterns, or estimating amounts. Tasks involving sequencing, such as following steps in a math problem or remembering the order of operations, can be especially challenging. These difficulties can persist into adulthood, affecting daily life skills, such as managing money, telling time, or measuring ingredients in a recipe. Early identification and targeted interventions, such as using visual aids, manipulatives, and step-by-step instructions, can help individuals with dyscalculia develop mathematical understanding and confidence. In addition to dyslexia and dyscalculia, there are other learning disabilities that impact different aspects of learning. Dysgraphia affects writing abilities, making it difficult to form letters, organize thoughts on paper, or produce legible handwriting. Individuals with dysgraphia may write slowly, avoid writing tasks, or experience frustration when trying to express themselves in writing. Interventions for dysgraphia often focus on developing fine motor skills, teaching keyboarding, and providing alternative methods for recording information. Auditory processing disorder, APD, is another condition that affects the way the brain interprets auditory information. People with APD may have difficulty distinguishing between similar sounds, following spoken instructions, or understanding speech in noisy environments. This can impact language development, reading, and academic performance. Strategies to support individuals with APD include using visual supports, breaking instructions into smaller steps, and providing quiet workspaces. Nonverbal learning disabilities, NVLD, are characterized by difficulties with visual spatial processing, motor coordination, and social skills. Individuals with NVLD may excel in reading and memorization, but struggle with tasks that require interpreting visual information, such as reading maps, understanding graphs, or judging distances. They may also have trouble with social interactions, as they find it challenging to read nonverbal cues like facial expressions or body language. Interventions for NVLD often involve explicit instruction in social skills, visual spatial tasks, and organizational strategies. The causes of learning disabilities are complex and multifaceted. Genetic factors play a significant role, as learning disabilities often run in families. Brain imaging studies have revealed structural and functional differences in the brains of individuals with learning disabilities, particularly in areas related to language, memory, and attention. Environmental factors, such as exposure to toxins, prenatal complications, or early childhood trauma, may also contribute to the development of learning disabilities. However, it is important to recognize that learning disabilities are not caused by poor teaching, lack of motivation, or cultural differences. The impact of learning disabilities extends beyond academic achievement. Children and adults with learning disabilities often face social and emotional challenges as well. They may experience frustration, anxiety, or low self-esteem as a result of repeated failures or negative feedback. Social relationships can be affected, as difficulties with communication, organization, or social cues may lead to misunderstandings or isolation. It is crucial for educators, parents, and peers to provide understanding, encouragement, and appropriate accommodations to support the emotional well-being of individuals with learning disabilities. Diagnosis of learning disabilities involves a comprehensive assessment process. This typically includes gathering information from multiple sources, such as teachers, parents, and the individual themselves. Standardized tests are used to evaluate cognitive abilities, academic achievement, and specific areas of concern. Observations of classroom performance, work samples, and developmental history are also important components of the assessment. The goal is to identify the individual's strengths and weaknesses, rule out other possible causes of learning difficulties, such as sensory impairments or emotional disorders, and develop an individualized plan for intervention. Once a learning disability is identified, individualized education plans, IEPs, or 504 plans are often developed to outline specific goals, accommodations, and instructional strategies. These may include extended time on tests, preferential seating, use of assistive technology, modified assignments, or specialized instruction. Collaboration among teachers, special educators, parents, and the student is essential to ensure that supports are effective and responsive to the individual's needs. Assistive technology plays an increasingly important role in supporting individuals with learning disabilities. For example, text-to-speech software can help students with dyslexia access written material, while speech-to-text programs can assist those with dysgraphia in expressing their ideas. Graphic organizers, calculators, and interactive math apps can support students with dyscalculia in understanding mathematical concepts. The use of technology not only facilitates learning, but also promotes independence and self-advocacy. Early intervention is critical for individuals with learning disabilities. The earlier that difficulties are identified and addressed, the greater the likelihood of positive outcomes. High-quality early childhood education, screening for risk factors, and targeted instruction can help prevent or mitigate the impact of learning disabilities. Ongoing professional development for educators is also essential to ensure that they have the knowledge and skills to recognize and support students with diverse learning needs. Family involvement is another key factor in the success of individuals with learning disabilities. Parents and caregivers play a vital role in advocating for their children, reinforcing learning at home, and providing emotional support. Open communication between families and schools helps to ensure that interventions are consistent and effective. Support groups and counseling services can also be valuable resources for families navigating the challenges of learning disabilities. Despite the challenges associated with learning disabilities, many individuals go on to lead successful and fulfilling lives. Strengths such as creativity, problem-solving, perseverance, and empathy are often found among people with learning disabilities. Many prominent figures in the arts, sciences, business, and sports have shared their experiences with learning disabilities, serving as role models and advocates for greater understanding and acceptance. Society's understanding of learning disabilities has evolved significantly over the past several decades. In the past, children who struggled in school were often labeled as lazy, unintelligent, or unmotivated. Today, there is greater recognition of the neurobiological basis of learning disabilities and the importance of providing appropriate support. Laws such as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, in the United States have established the right to a free and appropriate public education for students with disabilities, including learning disabilities. These legal protections have helped to promote inclusion, reduce stigma, and increase access to educational opportunities. However, challenges remain. Stigma and misconceptions about learning disabilities persist in some communities, leading to underdiagnosis, inadequate support, or discrimination. Access to high-quality assessment and intervention services is not always equitable, particularly in under-resourced schools or marginalized communities. There is a need for ongoing advocacy, research, and public education to ensure that all individuals with learning disabilities receive the support they need to reach their full potential. Research continues to advance our understanding of learning disabilities. Studies in neuroscience, genetics, and education are shedding light on the underlying mechanisms of these conditions and informing the development of more effective interventions. There is growing interest in personalized approaches to instruction, recognizing that each individual has unique strengths and needs. Universal Design for Learning, UDL, is an educational framework that seeks to create flexible learning environments that accommodate the diversity of learners, including those with learning disabilities. By providing multiple means of representation, engagement, and expression, UDL aims to remove barriers to learning and promote success for all students. In addition to educational interventions, there is increasing recognition of the importance of supporting the mental health and well-being of individuals with learning disabilities. Anxiety, depression, and other emotional difficulties are common among this population, often as a result of chronic stress, social challenges, or negative self-perceptions. Counseling, social skills training, and mindfulness practices can help individuals build resilience and cope with the emotional impact of learning disabilities. Transition planning is another important consideration for adolescents and young adults with learning disabilities. As students move from school to post-secondary education, employment, or independent living, they may encounter new challenges and opportunities. Self-advocacy skills, such as understanding one's strengths and needs, communicating effectively, and seeking accommodations, are critical for success in adult life. Vocational training, career counseling, and supported employment programs can help individuals with learning disabilities navigate the transition to the workforce. In higher education, students with learning disabilities are entitled to reasonable accommodations under laws such as the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. These may include extended time on exams, note-taking assistance, or alternative formats for course materials. Disability services offices on college campuses play a key role in providing support and promoting accessibility. However, students must often take the initiative to request accommodations and advocate for their needs, highlighting the importance of self-awareness and self-determination. Employment is another area where individuals with learning disabilities may face challenges, but also opportunities for success. Many people with learning disabilities possess unique strengths, such as creativity, perseverance, and problem-solving abilities that are valued in the workplace. Employers can support employees with learning disabilities by providing clear instructions, flexible work arrangements, and access to assistive technology. Workplace accommodations, such as job coaching or modified tasks, can help individuals perform to their full potential. Raising awareness about learning disabilities in the workplace can also reduce stigma and promote a culture of inclusion. The role of society in supporting individuals with learning disabilities extends beyond the classroom and workplace. Public policies, Community organizations and advocacy groups all play a part in promoting awareness, reducing barriers, and ensuring access to services. Media representations of learning disabilities can influence public perceptions and attitudes, either reinforcing stereotypes or promoting understanding. Celebrating the achievements of individuals with learning disabilities and recognizing their contributions to society helps to challenge misconceptions and foster acceptance. Looking to the future, there is optimism that advances in science, technology, and education will continue to improve outcomes for individuals with learning disabilities. Personalized learning platforms, artificial intelligence, and adaptive technologies hold promise for creating more inclusive and effective learning environments. Greater collaboration among researchers, educators, families, and individuals with learning disabilities will drive innovation and ensure that interventions are grounded in real-world needs and experiences. At the same time, it is important to remember that learning disabilities are part of the natural diversity of human brains and minds. Rather than viewing them solely as deficits or problems to be fixed, we can embrace a strengths-based perspective that values the unique talents and perspectives of individuals with learning disabilities. By fostering environments that are flexible, supportive, and inclusive, we can empower all learners to thrive. In conclusion, learning disabilities such as dyslexia, dyscalculia, and others represent a complex interplay of neurological, genetic, and environmental factors that affect how individuals process information. These conditions can present significant challenges in academic, social, and emotional domains, but with early identification, targeted intervention, and supportive environments, individuals with learning disabilities can achieve their goals and lead fulfilling lives. Ongoing research, advocacy, and public education are essential to ensure that all individuals with learning disabilities have access to the resources and opportunities they need. By recognizing and celebrating neurodiversity, we can build a more inclusive society that values the contributions of all its members.